You've got a story about a classic tip from the inner game of tennis called bounce hit. What is that?
If you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. Bounce hit is this exercise where when the incoming ball bounces, you say bounce. And then when the ball hits the racket, that's what you're going to feel that happen. You say hit. And without going into too much detail, it's really a fascinating thing that brings you into the present. It's another one of those entry points to the zone. I had an opportunity to go out to lunch with a man who's now passed, Fred Earle, one of the greatest coaches ever. I mean, a good friend of Tom Stowe, right? I asked Fred, who'd been teaching tennis for 75 years, what's the best tennis tip you ever gave in your whole life? And he said, bounce hit. And I said to him, oh yeah, I heard about that in the book, Inner Game of Tennis. And he said, oh, no. That goes back to the 20s. That tip actually is, close to 100 years old, if not more. Now, I now have adjusted it because I now no longer like the word hit. Because hit is kind of a tense and willful word. And I don't want to get into too much esoteric stuff, but I like the word toss better. So when I'm teaching, I say bounce toss, because now what it engenders is more of a passive, letting the ball come in and out of your racket. Let your racket toss the ball over to the place that you want it to go. And when you look at top players in the world, almost all of them are incredibly relaxed. They're incredibly good at moving to a place of receiving the ball well in a very relaxed way, sending it back. But what kind of fools us casual observers of the game is we think we see a ton of effort going on there, but really there's a lot of flow and effortlessness, and they're allowing the racket to do its job. This is where it's important to have the right setup. So your racket should be tuned to who you are and how you play, and then you learn to trust it. Getting the right racket that you can swing comfortably, that's strung with the right materials at a tension that you trust and believe in, will allow you to have a better receiving and sending experience. But to go back, it's really interesting to hear that tip preceded what I thought its origin was by 50 years. So there's a lot of great archaic wisdom about how to see the ball and how to play well that sometimes gets poo-pooed by today's, fascination with modern technology and the so-called modern game.
That's good. The bounce hit for me has been really important, especially in really tight, close, big-time matches where I've got to bring myself back to the present rather than thinking about the potential outcome here, the potential result. God dang it, if I get this, well, then I'm in the semis. Well, if I'm in the semis, then I'll maybe, all those thoughts. So for me, the bounce hit, and I've kind of hybridized my own to be more of a bounce. And for me, it's more of a, no one can hear it, but it's more of an exhale, kind of a whoosh.
Okay.
And I've got to make sure I do that precisely through contact. So for me, it's not at contact, it's actually through contact. So there's a little prior, a little contact, and then there's a little post. Great
comment. Also, qualifier, my experience is that about 85% of people are helped by bounce toss and 15% are not. And the 15 that are not, I find, have some sort of verbal processing issue. Forming the words distracts them away from seeing the ball. And you might be one of those people who just don't want to form the word. And that's fine. So that's a great thing right there, because that's going to be helpful to more people. What I do with people who don't want to form the words is I say, click your tongue. There's no word formation there, and it's a very rote binary task. So yeah, there's a way around it. And when I was a younger pro, I used to try to force bounce hit on people who hated it vehemently. Did not win friends and influence people at that time.